I kind of miss Shane, not for promos, but just because he was crazy and sort of wonderful to watch. For a guy who wasn't a wrestler.
Well, that's the problem.
Well, yeah.
Because Shane's athletic. I like Shane. I like Shane better than probably most of them. Shane's a great kid, but he didn't have the mind for wrestling per se, creative wrestling that other members of the family had. But he was a good guy and a good kid, and what an athlete he was. And he wanted desperately to show that he could hang. But the problem then became, instead of being portrayed as a fucking rich, silver spoon in the mouth, milksop pussy like a manager should have been.
That sounds like so familiar. Who is that guy that sounds like?
I don't know. He was portrayed. Here's the son of a billionaire that he could have got so much heat. This is what he didn't understand. This is what none of them understood, and nobody had the balls to say it to him. He could have got so much heat by being that rich asshole, silver spoon in the mouth, pussy, don't touch me, I'm going to get somebody else to do my business. But he wanted to prove that he could take all those bumps off the Titantron and through the tables and everything. And guys worked with him competitively when he'd never been a wrestler. And the fans got a begrudging admiration for the fucking guy that put his life on the line. So it was just completely psychologically screwed the fuck up. Because, yes, he could do all that shit, but no, he never should have in a million years done it. That's what nobody understood.
Especially not when, as you say, it could have been something else. I mean, they were kind of slightly onto something doing the Mean Street Posse and the idea that these are a bunch of guys from Connecticut who really aren't tough thugs, but we're playing them that way. Yeah, they probably should never have actually been wrestling. Although I do know some of those guys were genuine wrestlers as opposed to himself. But
no, they weren't.
Wasn't one of them?
Only Jason Arndt, who they put in there to be the wrestler, Joey Abs. But who was it? Pete Gass and Rod. They were actually friends of Shane's from fucking Stamford. And they were all kind of jocks, right? Because that's the kind of guys he hung around with. But once again, he could have even got heat as being the goddamn fucking rich fuck who was a fucking jock at the private school. But now he's in the deep end of the pool. And, you know, and he could have got his ass kicked. He could take great bumps. That's what he needed to do. But instead, the guys were giving him offense because they're thinking, I'm getting over. I'm letting the boss's son beat me up. No, you're getting yourself under. Because Shane was never going to get over as a great wrestler because he was the fucking boss's son and blah, 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 portrayed as a heel in storyline. But at the same time, he was doing all that shit that nobody else was allowed to do, or you wouldn't think that this guy could do. It was psychologically all fucked up. And Rodney and Pete Gass, those guys were great guys, but they shouldn't have been involved in the fucking business except to get beat up. And it just didn't work. But everybody was scared to say what I just said because it's the boss's son. You want to get over with it. The only thing that Shane couldn't do was commentary. And they tried him as an announcer first. And I actually had to go down on Sundays on my days off when I was in Stamford, go to the fucking studio and voice over shows for practice with Shane. And Shane was rotten as an announcer because he just, you know, even the greatest people in the world, sometimes there's things they can't do. Not knocking him, but he was markish as an announcer. He didn't know how to fill that role. He wanted to be a personality, and it didn't work. And it was some of the most trying days of my life.
Well, at least you were getting paid.
Not extra.
Oh, damn.
No, fuck. It was like, hey, I come down and practice with Shane for 5 hours on Sunday afternoon at the studio. We were all there, the producers, everybody, the audio people, everybody was there trying to help Shane become a good announcer. None of us would live that long.